Welcome to the Action Debate. This is a show which unravels cross-cutting issues that trigger new imaginations and alternative ways of building a green and sustainable planet, the Earth. And today we are discussing the topic, securing a green urban future, locating the informal economy in Harare. To help us unpack this topic, we are joined by Mr. Denford Ngadzore, the Chairperson of the SMEs Committee from the city of Harare. We are also joined by Mr. Edward Kapodogo, an Informal Economy Governance expert, as well as Nyanduri Nyandoro, an award-winning Transformative Artist. So to start our conversation, I'll start with you, Mr. Kapodogo. Can you give us a brief overview of the informal economy in Zimbabwe?
Okay, thank you so much, O'Brien. Basically, I can say that Zimbabwe informal economy is now big and has grown from being an informal sector to an economy. So that's why we usually dub it an informal economy, because it got several units which built up into the what we are now calling the informal economy. So to us as informal economy actors, it is the economy, because it is employing a number of a good number of informal economic actors in that sector, as well as the economic active group is also consumed in that area. Approximately 90% of Zimbabwean population, active population, is employed in that sector. For your own information, Zimbabwe is the second largest informal economy in the world after Bolivia, which makes us the first economy, the biggest informal economy in Zimbabwe, which calls us as a nation to actually try to see how best can we tap into that kind of resource, or it is a resource because it is actually generating a lot towards the GDP. Harare, let me also narrow down to Harare. Harare is the capital city, and according to the survey by small to medium enterprises, they discovered that Harare have got the highest number of informal economic actors as compared to other towns. It constitutes almost 14% of the total people employed in the informal economy. So basically, I can say this sector has got work deficits. They have got a number of challenges which they have, which goes to around issues of limited market stores. There is no social security. So these are some of the challenges which affect the sector. And the sector also, related to this topic under discussion, the sector actually play a pivotal role in terms of climate change mitigation, because there is a number of activities which the informal sector actors are engaged in, which, if harnessed, they can bring us to a positive stage whereby we are able to mitigate issues of climate change. Thank you.
Very interesting statistic. Second to Bolivia, the whole world, and the first in Africa in terms of its capacity, in terms of contributing to the urban GDP. So I want to take this discussion from your sentiments, Mr. Kapodogo, and now try to direct this question to Councillor Ngadzore. According to a recent 2022 first quarter labor survey force by Zimsted, the informal sector, not including agriculture, is providing employment to 64% of the working population, majority of whom are youth. The question now is, what is the local authority, in this case, City of Harare, doing to ensure there is a conducive environment for the informal sector?
Thank you very much. What we have done as SMEs, we have started into looking on how we can assist these informal traders. One of the missing things that we have noticed as a city, especially after I assumed the role of the chairperson, is that we lack information of SMEs activities. What I want to challenge both research funding partners and other stakeholders is to invest more in research. As a state of Harare, we look like we have a disorder in terms of how we regulate, how we tend to see informal activities in Harare. But the problem is there is no proper research that is going to inform the state of Harare. We are the planning authority. As a planning authority, we should be informed about what is on the ground in terms of numbers of SME traders in each suburb, in each ward, even the total number of people who are coming to trade in Harare. There are many people who are coming to trade in Harare from the Roshawa, from Noton, from Ekwe, and even other surrounding areas. But they come and trade in Harare on a daily basis, but also they go to their special areas during the night. So that research helps the city in terms of budgeting. That research again also helps the city in terms of planning purposes. So this is the challenge which I'm giving to other people, because some of these SMEs activities actually aging to water pollution and also even to climate change. So these are the issues that I want to challenge. But currently, what we have done as a city is to come up with a model plan. So every SME's activity in Harare will be planned. We have a 3D design that is approved by council, so that we reduce areas of demolition. Because we have seen many manufacturers each year since 2005 till today, and we don't want to see the same issue again going forward. So what do? You need to plan. So we have various sites of home industry, we have various sites of free markets, we have various sites of tax shops, we have various sites of all other SMEs activities that are going to be planned by this city. So in the next few days or a few weeks, these plans will be available to the public and they will be approved so that at least everyone will have a decent place which is approved to trade.
Definitely. I think the issue of planning is a very, very critical one, especially in addressing some of the space contestation issues which have been observing recently. And even Nyanduri Nyandore as an artist has been doing a lot in terms of trying to conscientize around the issue of spaces. I also want to come back to you, Mr. Kapodogo. In your view, do you think informal traders have adequate knowledge or information about climate change?
Okay, thank you so much. In my opinion, I believe there is limited access to information around issues of climate change. Maybe because I can put it through issues that you see that most of mainstream media or mainstream campaigns, mainstream programs around climate change, usually they target those within formal settings. You find that those operating in the informal economy, they spend most of their time at the workplace because of the nature of the jobs. You find out that miss out critical and crucial information, be it on climate change or in anything. So I believe there is limited access to information, and something needs to be done around putting programs to the people who are operating in the spaces of the informal sector. Yes.
And knowing the impeccable power of arts in as far as conscientizing the community about these issues, and even recognizing that this discussion is heating up, Nyandri Nyandoro, now I want to come to you, Nyandri Nyandoro. How can the arts be used to conscientize informal traders about climate change, as well as the vagaries of climate change as well?
I am choking. I am choking because when I address real issues around climate change, I get choked because I face resistance. I face resistance from people who want to maintain the status quo, from people who want to see the climate degenerating while they are amassing wealth. I am choking because I am being called an informal economy, and yet there is no investment in formal economy. I am choking because I get called an illegal settler when there is no investment towards me being a legal settler. I am choking because I am my own employer. I am fending for my kids. I am environmentally conscious, but I also need to fend for my kids. I am choking because I am the informal economist. I am choking because I am the illegal settler. I am choking because I hook and crook for others to cook. I am choking because I try and cry, but it's all dry. I am choking because they tell and sell for me to go to hell. I am choking because I am the informal economy. I am choking because I am not an illegal settler. I'm not an informal economy. I am environmentally conscious. That is the role of the artist, to answer you, O'Brien.
This is touching and equally moving. I want to come to you, Councillor Ngazore. Due to the global crisis of climate change, there's been a loud call for cities to lead in the transition process to green and sustainable cities. And now, considering that our urban economy is anchored on the informal sector, do you think it is feasible in Harare to lead the transition process?
It is very possible for Harare to lead in a transition when you look to informal economy. But the challenge, like I said, what is lacking is information, is the research. The research informs the city in its planning. The research informs the city in budget. When you see all these activities happening, when you look on the finance minister Mtuli, the allocation for the SMEs, you see that there is no proper research both at council level and at government level to appreciate that this area needs serious funding. So for us to address that, we first of all need to have a stakeholders meeting where we should appreciate where we are as a country. We are not in 1990, we are in 2002, where we have more SMEs, where we have all graduates who are now vendors, where we have even those people who are employed, they have side hustles for them to sell their wares. So for us to appreciate that, it means that we should invest more in research so that it can have proper planning.
Wonderful. More research to inform proper planning. I want to come to you, Mr. Kapodogo. Councillor is raising very, very critical issues as they relate to issues to do with research, because I think this will be the starting point to make sure that even Harare, as the capital city of Harare, can lead in the transition process to make sure that we have climate smart cities. From your end, as you guys in the civic society, what can the government and other stakeholders do to ensure that the informal sector is effectively mainstreamed into a green urban economy?
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, I think there is need to ensure that there is inclusion of informal sector players in urban cities, because they play a critical role when it comes to issues of green cities. As you might be aware, informal traders, they are one of the contributors of food waste. So they also play a critical role in terms of food waste management or waste management in general, because we all know that waste generates greenhouse gases, which are actually hazardous to climate change. So if they are harnessed and capacitated, they can play a critical role in terms of recycling of waste, which can as well contribute to the urban economy development in terms of income. It can also deal away issues of gases which are coming from food waste. Food waste management can also assist or help the city of Harare in terms of electricity generation. I'll give an example for the case study of Brazil. They use vegetable waste, fruit and vegetable waste to generate electricity. That can also be tapped into and try to assist the city. There is also an issue of waste management which can also assist the city in terms of doing away with the garbages. Food waste can be converted into feedstocks. We know Zimbabwe is an agri-based economy, and a lot of people are in agriculture. They can also tap into that kind of opportunity. So basically, I can say that informal economy actors, they can play a role, a critical role, in terms of transforming what we are saying are dangers to the climate change towards as an opportunity, so that we continue developing the city and continue contributing to fighting against the climate change effects.
What a very insightful discussion we're having today. So to conclude this show, I will give all of the panelists just the closing remarks. I'll start with Councillor Ngazore. What's your party with?
Where we are now as a country, we should plan together. How the bylaw was crafted that every stakeholder is protected. So the business is supposed to understand that we are in 2022, where we now have more SMEs than before. Therefore, we should now have a lane. For the start, we used not to see a tax shop in Borodale or in Brook. But currently, if you go and see, you can actually see a tomato market at someone's gate. So this is where we are now. So therefore, we now need to come together as stakeholders and agree on what we are supposed to do as a country, as a Harare. We should not see SME traders as enemies. We should not see continue demolishing people's ways in 2022. But we should also try to increase more. So to private players, be it the old mutual property owners, government, we should come together and create more space for the SMEs. So these are my pathways.
Let's come together, a plan together to ensure that we have inclusive cities which recognize the right to the city for every city inhabitant. Mr. Kapodogo.
Thank you so much. For me, I would say that Zimbabwe, we should come to a realization that we are an informal economy and we should harness the potential within the sector. And coming close home around issues under discussion today, issues of green economies, climate change, we need to put more efforts in terms of raising awareness so that we touch each and every corner of Zimbabwe around contextualization of climate change. Informal economy actors, they are also citizens. When we roll out our programs, let's make sure that we include everyone. Around policies, let's try to have enabling policies which also harness the potential. I was talking issues of recycling. That is a potential cash cow for the country, which we can also tap into. I was also talking about issues of exclusion in terms of access to information. Let's have an inclusive framework of information dissemination to make our country better and also to have green economies for everyone. Thank you.
Let's not remain frozen in the past, using archaic bylaws and planning laws. We need to embrace the current reality. Nyanduri Nyandoro.
Thank you so much, O'Brien. And from this discussion, I think as an artist, when I approach issues around the way we perceive the informal economy, my parting shot is, as an informal economist, I am not the biggest threat to environmental degradation. I get so emotional about these things because I am trying to fend for my families. I've heard that we are talking about 64%, and those people are not naughty. They are not just disobedient, but they are looking for a livelihood. They are providing alternative employment. Because hatinganzi rambai murere muberere kutsikanai nederere ndo zviripo mukasadaro munyika munoita mhere. Nyanduri toti aiwaka tinopedza riniko mhere tichifudzwa nemagweregwere tinoita seiko zvisina vhuserere musavateerere urongo hwavo hauna vhuserere pfungwa dzavo ingori muzerere kunzi rambai murere muberere kutsikanai nederere ndo zviripo mukasadaro munyika mungaite mhere imi muri nemagweregwere.
Zimbabwe, the world, until we meet again, think and act green.